Thank you for joining me, Ashwin Berry, on NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. Coming up in this broadcast, Windhoek's water security is a matter of concern. Emesco to invest $2 billion Namibian dollars in solar exports. And in South Africa, a pastor gets a 55-year prison sentence for raping teen boys and young men in his church. Follow all our programs on oneup2.com, DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 in Namibia. Midday news update up next. The three suspects who stood trial jointly on 11 charges related to alleged fraud regarding the B1 city development in the capital have just been acquitted of various charges in the High Court. Judge Christy Liebenberg found that on several charges there was insufficient evidence to find Kelly Ngihulifwa, Hafeni Nginamwami and Anna Ndoroma guilty. Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Inspector General of the Namibian Police, Joseph Shikongo, yesterday opened the Training of Trainers workshop on freedom of expression and safety of journalists. This video was contributed by Katarina Mosa.
He also spoke of Namibia being the first country in Africa that actually has ended on signing some protocol that are regarding the freedom of speech or freedom of expression. He also narrated and they give us the information on the use of force against journalists, and indicating that over 100 journalists were killed over a period of time. And then he also indicated that 86% are act of impunity, and 86% act of impunity against journalists. And then today I'm here as Inspector General of Police to assure you that Namibian police is not, as a law enforcement, is not among the 86%. On record that over the past 33 years, no journalist in Namibia has lost life because of the negligence of the law enforcement. And as the Inspector General, I'm here today to make a pledge that will continue of ensuring the safeguarding and the protection of the journalists, and also to safeguard the freedom of expression in our republic.
The Namibian Agricultural Union has flagged Windhoek's water security as a matter of concern. Namibian Sun has more as we head into the newspaper review segment.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Windhoek's demand for potable water currently stands at roughly 30 million cubic meters per year, which translates to about 82,200 cubic meters per day. To put this in perspective, the capacity of the Onab Dam near Rehoboth is about 34.5 million cubic meters. According to the Namibian Agricultural Union, NamWater supplies the city of Windhoek with around 75% of this potable water demand from surface water sources. Windhoek's water security is a perpetual concern due to its average approximate rainfall of 350 millimeters and the distant location of the nearest perennial water source, some 700 kilometers away, the municipality said. The final report by the Fourth Industrial Revolution Task Force has called for an urgent overhaul of immigration policies and processes to smoothen the entrance of experts into Namibia against the background of the country's lack of scientists and engineers. According to the report, which was presented to President Hage Geingob recently, stakeholders from various sectors have highlighted shortcomings in Namibia's immigration system, particularly concerning work permits and visas that allegedly demand immediate attention and revision. The Ministry of the Environment, Forestry and Tourism is busy with repairs to Gemsbok water in the Namib-Naukluft Park. We are aware of the condition of the water point and are currently working on repairs, the ministry spokesperson Romeo Moyunda told Republican. This follows after the newspaper received complaints about the condition of the much-needed water point in the park and asked for feedback from the ministry. The challenge is that tree roots have caused a blockage in the borehole, but our people are working hard to fix it, Moyunda added. The vice president of electronics giant Samsung SDI yesterday said their company wants to get involved in lithium supply value chain management in Namibia. Amid a boom in the sought-after mineral, Nakayu Gun P addressed the first Namibia Korea Business Forum on Energy and Resources in Windhoek yesterday. Samsung SDI will further upgrade its skills by starting to collaborate with Namibia and get involved in lithium supply value chain management. As always, Samsung's SDI's door is open to contribute to the value chain and source enrichment. It would be great if we could start with Namibia today, he said. Africa has hardly contributed to global warming, but it is particularly affected by the climate crisis. At the African Climate Summit in Nairobi, demands should therefore be made of the industrialized countries, but there is also great potential, and that's in Ogamana Zeitung. Staying with AZ, the number of people living with food insecurity in Namibia is likely to increase over the next 6 months. According to the IPC report, the situation in the regions of Kavango West, Kavango East, Omaheke and Ohangwena in particular will deteriorate. The reasons for the increase are varied. Now, the lack of a formal decision by the government to construct a fence between Angola and Namibia takes us into the review after the break.
Good evening and welcome to Sunset News.
Dutch stays in List A mentioned a speech, rate in taxes, and how much.
After the break, we take a look at the sports.
We bring you
economic indicators, tomorrow's weather and sports. I am Aina Raiza Kweyong.
The lack of a formal decision by the government to construct a fence between Angola and Namibia and funding are hampering the government's 12-year plan to remove the veterinary cordon fence, locally referred to as the Red Line. In the preliminary report on the progress of the Second Land Conference in 2018, the government says the Red Line, which splits Namibia into 2 farming zones, will be removed in 12 years' time, but their plan has shortcomings. The Ministry of Mines and Energy has banned significant under-recoveries for raising the prices of petrol and diesel yesterday. The ministry in a statement yesterday said under-recoveries recorded for petrol stood at 2.40 Namibian dollars per litre and 3.54 Namibian dollars and 3.48 per litre on diesel and diesel 110 respectively. Energy Minister Toma Wendo has said Namibia and other developing nations should retain the right to exploit fossil fuel resources despite ongoing global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Known as energy transition, it refers to the global energy sector's shift from fossil-based systems of energy production and consumption, including oil, natural gas and coal, to renewable energy sources like wind and solar, as well as lithium-ion batteries. Energy Minister Tom Alwendo has said Namibia and other developing nations should retain the right to exploit fossil fuel resources despite ongoing global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Known as energy transition, it refers to the global energy sector's shift from fossil-based systems of energy production and consumption, including oil, natural gas and coal, to renewable energy sources like wind and solar, as well as lithium-ion batteries. The stock of foreign reserves increased by 2.3% to 54.1 billion Namibian dollars in July from 52.9 billion recorded at the end of June 2023. The reserves are sufficient to cover imports for 5.7 months, the Bank of Namibia said. The rise was on account of the Southern African Customs Union inflows, diamond sales and customer foreign currency placements. Emesco Energy Namibia plans to invest approximately 2 billion Namibian dollars into exporting solar energy. Stay with us as we head into economic news shortly.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Emesco Energy Namibia plans to invest approximately 2 billion Namibian dollars into exporting solar energy to neighboring countries in the Southern African Development Community for the next 25 years. Shonau Solar Energy is a 125 megawatt solar farm located near Vambad, especially developed for power exports. Last week, the South African Power Pool announced that Shonau has been officially accepted as a conditional member. As a result, the project has been granted access to the regional electricity market. Shonau's membership is one of only 4 awarded for the first time since April, allowing access to the market for 5 years. The announcement was made during a conference on access to the SAP and the Namibian modified single buyer market. This market allows independent power producers and certain large-scale customers to trade directly with each other for a portion of customers' electricity demand. It also enables independent power generation specifically for export. Let's head into the indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 19.18 next to the US dollar, with 20.61 Namibian dollars getting you €1. MTC managed an uptick of 0.10%, whilst most selected NSX stock closing prices maintained their value. Local index and overall index are both in the green, with the most significant uptick coming from the overall index. All commodities made some significant dips, with the biggest being platinum, 0.86% lower. Now, in news from Africa, a Mpumalanga pastor who raped teenage boys and young men in his church has been handed a 55-year prison sentence. See you soon.
Stock up and save with the best deals at WB. Get 1 liter Vita Creamy for $11.99. 2 liter Nam Milk Omaere for $44.99. 200 gram top class spice mix for $11.99. 10 kg Hotchfeld maize for $84.99. Plus 2 kg surf washing powder for just $52.99. See more WB specials online at www.vurmanbrock.com. We care.
We start off our news from Africa in South Africa, where Mpumalanga, a pastor who raped teenage boys and young men in his church under the pretext of praying for them, has been handed a 55-year prison sentence after being convicted of 4 counts of rape and 7 of sexual assault. John Pilane Masilela, age 46, committed the offences between 2012 and 2018 when he was a pastor at the Good Shepherd Church, and his 7 victims were aged between 17 and 26. He was sentenced in the KwaMhlanga Regional Court on Monday. According to Mpumalanga National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson Monica Nyuswa, Masilela would pray for his victims while touching their private parts under the pretext of preventing them from leading immoral lives. He told the victims that he could see their future and had received instructions from God to pray for them in that manner. He also told them that if they refused, bad things would happen to them. In 2020, however, all of Masilela's victims came forward and laid charges against him. He was arrested and pleaded not guilty, claiming his victims had consented. Ugandan police have arrested another 5 people and discovered 5 more explosives around the capital Kampala in a bombing plot linked to an Islamist rebel group, the force said. Based in the jungles of Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the Allied Democratic Forces pledges alliance to the militant movement Islamic State and has for years hit civilians and military targets in both Congo and Uganda. Ugandan authorities detained the first suspect with a bomb in a bag outside a packed church on Sunday, triggering a manhunt that led to a further 5 arrests and the retrieval of 5 more improvised explosive devices, police said. The bombs were safely detonated and items including nails, batteries and powder detonators were recovered, the police said in a statement late on Monday. Let's talk Cuba and Ukraine as we head into international news.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraitha. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Cuba has uncovered a human trafficking ring that has coerced its citizens to fight for Russia in the war in Ukraine, its foreign ministry said on Monday, adding that Cuban authorities were working to neutralize and dismantle the network. The statement from Cuba's foreign ministry gave few details, but noted the trafficking ring was operating both within the Caribbean island nation, thousands of miles from Moscow, and in Russia. The Ministry of the Interior is working on the neutralization and dismantling of human trafficking network that operates from Russia to incorporate Cuban citizens living there and even some from Cuba into the military forces participating in war operations in Ukraine. The Cuban government statement said the Russian government has not commented on the allegations. Russia last year announced a plan to boost the size of its armed forces by more than 30% to 1.5 million combat personnel, a lofty goal made harder by its heavy but of yet undisclosed casualties in the war. In late May, a Russian newspaper in Ryazan city reported that several Cuban citizens had signed contracts with Russia's armed forces and had been shipped to Ukraine in return for Russian citizenship. French schools sent dozens of girls home for refusing to remove their abayas, an overgarment from the shoulders to the feet worn by Muslim women on the first day of the school year, a government minister said on Tuesday. Defying a ban on the Muslim dress, nearly 300 girls showed up on Monday morning wearing an abaya. Most agreed to change out of the dress, but 67 refused and were sent home, he said. The government announced last month it was banning the abaya in schools, saying it broke the rules of secularism in education that have already seen Muslim headscarves banned on the grounds they constitute a display of religious affiliation. The move gladdened the political right, but the hard left argued it represented an affront to civil liberties. Attal said the girls refused entry were given a letter addressed to their families saying that secularism is not a constraint, it is a liberty. If they showed up at school again wearing the dress, there would be new dialogue, the minister said. Let's head into local sport.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss my .NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Former Blackburn Rovers and Wigan Athletic defender Ryan Nyambe was unable to find a club during the transfer window. The player remains a free agent with little interest from European clubs, reported. The Brave Warriors international is said to have won enough duels as a defender last year and is still likely to play for his former club if any interest arises. A Football League World report suggested that Nyambe's former club could bargain from regaining the defender on a free deal. There are, however, suggestions that the club may not be interested in the player after he left for Wigan, who got relegated from the League One Championship. As Namibia tighten their laces for the 2023 Rugby World Cup, they face a challenging task in Pool A, and that is an understatement. The Volviches of Namibia are the underdogs in this pool, but despite being given slim chances by bookmakers, the team will be determined to showcase their progress against the strongest teams in the world. Namibia, who has an impressive record of qualifying for the World Cup 7 times consecutively, will face Italy at 1 p.m. on Saturday, still hoping for their first World Cup victory. By invitation, Namibia's Tafellaga Brave Warriors played a friendly football match against Zimbabwe at the inauguration of President Mnangagwa in Harare. Now, Namibia were behind 2-1 at half-time after strikes by Mtokozi Simsebe and Farai Banda for the home side. The full-time whistle blew at 2-2 after the Namibians had scored goals from Eliakim Jackson and Edmund Kambanda. Zimbabwe then won 5-4 on penalties. The Namibian squad has been preparing for their upcoming friendly clash with South Africa's Bafana Bafana on 9 September. Let's swing over to Manchester United as we talk international sport.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
In international sport, defender Eric Bailly has joined Turkish side Besiktas on a permanent transfer from Manchester United, the Premier League club said on Tuesday. The Ivory Coast international spent the last season on loan from Olympique Marseille, playing in 17 league games as they finished third. The 29-year-old centre-back made over 100 appearances for United since joining from Villarreal in 2016, but his playing time was limited in recent seasons as he struggled with injuries. Bailly, who has 49 international caps, was part of the United team that won the Europa League in the 2016-2017 season and finished runner-up 2020-21. And it looks like Maguire stays. Now, Brazil's forward Antony has been withdrawn from the squad for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Bolivia and Peru following assault allegations, the country's football confederation said in a statement on Monday. The decision was taken after the Brazilian media outlet UOL published allegations from Antony's ex-girlfriend Gabriela Cavalin accusing him of physical assault. Antony has denied any wrongdoing. And New Zealand's hopes for the 50-over World Cup received a boost on Tuesday, with Kane Williamson set to captain the Black Caps despite still recovering from a serious knee injury. Williamson has scored more than 6,500 runs in one-day international cricket and led New Zealand in their nail-biting defeat by England in the 2019 World Cup final. The star batter has been sidelined since April after surgery to repair torn ligaments in his right knee suffered while playing for Gujarat Titans in the Indian Premier League. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast shortly.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Here are the highlights from this afternoon's broadcast. In Mpumalanga, pastor who raped teenage boys and young men in his church under the pretext of praying for them has been handed a 55-year prison sentence after being convicted of 4 counts of rape and 7 of sexual assault. Cuba has uncovered a human trafficking ring that has coerced its citizens to fight for Russia in the war in Ukraine, its foreign ministry said on Monday, adding that Cuban authorities were working to neutralize and dismantle the network. And former Blackburn Rovers and Wigan Athletic defender Ryan Nyambe was unable to find a club during the transfer window. The player remains a free agent with little interest from European clubs reported. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world.